Hi, you guys. Happy Tuesday, and I have a great topic that we are going to be discussing today. So, last week when we spoke, our last video that we spoke about was all about neurotoxins and the difference between neurotoxins, the difference between Botox and Dysport and Jeuveau. And today what we're going to be talking about is filler. So all the great things that people want to know, the difference between fillers, what are they, who is a great candidate for them, what is something that you can get treated, where do you use them? So all of the questions, and I get these questions a lot actually, as an injector, these are like my tools, this is my toolbox. And so, you need to have the right tool for the right, for the right project, right? So you need a screwdriver for one thing, a hammer for one thing, and that's how I look at these fillers. So fillers are, something that a lot of people come in here for, and they're like, oh, I want to get filler done. My friend got Voluma. My friend got, Restylane. My friend got, Versa. And it's up to us as injectors to educate, our patients so that they're aware of the differences between the two. So I have in front of me a few of them. Some of you guys probably know Restylane Lift. Some of you are probably familiar with Juvederm. Some of you probably are familiar with Voluma. A lot of us use Voluma in our practices. Some of you guys may have heard of Versa before. So I have everything here. And then, of course, we can't forget about Radiesse. And I think we should start with what exactly are fillers. Fillers promote volume, okay? As time goes on, we start to lose not only the shape and the structure, but we lose volume, and they go hand in hand. So in order to gain that volume back, a lot of patients will come in and they'll say, I feel like my face, I feel like everything is drooping, I feel like everything is sagging, I feel like everything is kind of falling, right? And that's because we're starting to lose the structure and the support from the volume, from volume loss, I should say. So, when patients are coming in, it's important to understand that every single filler has its place, okay? And the companies, have FDA approval. So, for instance, Voluma is FDA approved for the mid-cheek. Same thing with when we talk about Restylane Lift, it's FDA approved for certain areas, just like Radiesse is approved for certain areas. So we all know as an injector, where we are to use what. So I'm not really going to focus on that so much today, but I'm going to tell you the difference between all of these fillers. And I think the first one that we should really talk about is Radiesse and how Radiesse is different, because Radiesse is truly different than, let's say, a Juvederm. Radiesse is different than Restylane. And the reason why is because Radiesse promotes collagen, and how it does that. And actually, I should even tell you that Radiesse is not a hyaluronic acid based filler. Radiesse is a collagen stimulator, and it's made by calcium hydroxyapatite. Okay, so whereas we have Restylane, another Restylane product I have here, Voluma, these fillers are hyaluronic acid based, whereas Radiesse is not hyaluronic acid based. Hyaluronic acid is Juvederm, Restylane, Versa. Radiesse is calcium hydroxyapatite. And so why they differ and how they differ is that Radiesse stimulates the body's process by generating collagen. And the thing that's important is that we need collagen, right? So this is going to stimulate your natural body's collagen. Whereas when we look at Versa, okay, when we look at Juvederm, when we look at Restylane, we're talking about hyaluronic acid-based fillers. Hyaluronic acid is used and naturally found in our skin cells, I should add, to plump the skin. Okay, so it's something that's going to plump or promote volume in the desired area. Now, when it's injected, when these fillers are injected, let's say we're talking about Restylane, we're talking about Juvederm, we're talking about Versa, where you inject it is where you're going to get the volume, right? That's where you're going to have the volume promotion. That's where you're going to get that lift. That's where you're going to get, the effects of the filler. So wherever it's injected is where you're going to get the benefit. And a lot of people will say to me, well, is this how it's going to look? Is this the result? Like, is this how it looks? And the answer is yes. So before we kind of get into the art of honestly, correction of the skin, of the face, we need to understand that all of the products have its place. And the way that the companies have determined that when we talk about the hyaluronic acid-based fillers, okay, these guys here, is, how thick or thin is it? How soft or hard? How flexible? And so, again, as an injector, we are trained and we know which product is FDA cleared, FDA approved for each area. But I will tell you that something along the lines of Restylane Kiss, upside down, Restylane Kiss, a very soft and natural approaching filler that promotes volume, is definitely going to be thinner and softer than, let's say, Voluma. Okay, so a lot of people will always say, well, how do you know? Or what's the best product to use? It really does depend on a few things. And that's why the art of the consultation is truly important. As an injector, there's nothing more that I love to do than explain and provide knowledge, to our patients. And I do have to say that it's not like a one size fits all type of filler for each person, or one product and you're good to go. That is why understanding that using these products, in conjunction with, maybe pairing Restylane Kiss for the lips with Versa in the mid-face, or using Voluma in the mid-face, and then, using Radius, in addition, we need to understand as injectors that we can either stick to the same company, the same line, if that's what you choose to do, but also understand from a patient's perspective why we're doing that. So the art of the consultation is important when it comes to dermal fillers, because they're not cookie cutter, and it's not just one product, coming in and getting just, your lips done. You need to look at the face in its entirety. So with that being said, let's talk about really the difference. So number one, like I said, hyaluronic acid-based products, that's your Juvederm, that's your Restylane, that's your Versa, versus Radius, calcium hydroxyapatite. Okay, so somebody said you pronounced it better than I do. It's a mouthful, let me tell you. But Radius also comes with a little bit more in its syringe. You can see here 1.5 cc's. Typically, we're going to get 1 ml per syringe in the Restylane, and the same thing with like a Juvederm, okay? And I have to say that, if you've been getting fillers for a long time, you probably have had a Juvederm Ultra Plus in your lifetime, or maybe you've had Voluma, or maybe you've had, regular Juvederm. Some of the newer fillers that you may not have heard of, something called Versa. Okay, Versa is something that, some practices may or may not have. I know my practice up in New York, we did not have Versa, and it's a beautiful filler. It's definitely a great filler. And it's great for, patients that have moderate skin laxity and moderate fold. So definitely something that a lot of our patients are very happy with, and I love to inject. Something else that you guys may not have heard of, maybe you have if you've been coming to our office, but we're obsessed right now with Restylane Kiss in the lips. I will tell you that my lips are done with Restylane Kiss. I only inject my lips once a year, and I decided that I wanted them to be done with Restylane Kiss, and I am very happy. So I truly love Restylane Kiss for the lips. Another product, from Restylane that is newer is Restylane Define and Restylane Refine. And I actually really do love the Restylane Define and Refine and Define because of its flexibility. So Restylane has great innovative technology, and so does Juvederm, but the benefits of Restylane Define and Refine are its flexibility and its hold. And I think what we're finding with fillers is that, as time goes on, as technology gets better, as innovation, and science improves, we're really able to tailor the fillers to be as natural as possible without having to look, bulky or full or look like you have, a ton of product in your face. We are trying to, give our patients that natural, refreshed look. And we're so lucky that these companies have spent, so much have put so much knowledge and, like I said, innovation into these products, which is why so many people are so happy with Voluma, and which is why so many patients are also happy with Restylane Lift. It's just a different way. How people will say, how do you know which products to choose between this one and this one and this one? And it comes down to, like I said earlier, what does the patient truly need? How much sagging of the skin is there? How much collagen loss is there? And that's why hyaluronic acid-based fillers are fantastic, and so is Radiesse. Now, the difference, I will say, between, let's say, Restylane and Juvederm or Versa, hyaluronic acid-based fillers, and remember, hyaluronic acid is naturally found in our skin cells. You guys might have heard of it before because maybe you use it on your skin. It's a plumper, right? It plumps the skin. It promotes volume. So the difference, I will say, between the Restylane hyaluronic acid based versus Radiesse collagen stimulator is that we're able to break down or reverse these products. Okay, we're able to, if the patient comes in and they're maybe not loving the result, or maybe it's too much, whatever the case may be, we're able to break down the products with an enzyme. And the enzyme is like an eraser, right? You just inject it and literally it will dissolve the product. Whereas Radiesse, we don't have something like that for that particular product. So that's a difference. Let's talk about longevity for a moment. How long do these fillers last? Everybody wants to know, how long do they last? How long do they last? Again, very, very patient specific. When we talk about neuromodulators, we talk about neurotoxins, we talk about Botox, Jeuveau, and, Dysport. We know that by average, they're going to last anywhere around 3 to 5 months, 3 to 4 months. It's standard. It requires maintenance. These fillers also require maintenance, okay? Let's talk about Restylane Kiss, one of the newer products to the Restylane family, with great technology for longevity. Great technology, for enhancement and for a naturally based fullness. In my opinion, I will say the company will say that you'll get about 12 months with Restylane Kiss, which is amazing. Absolutely amazing. So the second thing, Voluma. Voluma you can get up to 2 years with, okay, depending on how many syringes are used. So it really does depend on where it's being injected, the age of the patient. The studies with all these products, they're getting close to a year with the longevity of them, especially the newer technology products. But again, it is dependent on the patient, the age, and, really, truly, how many syringes are you doing? And I think that's a great way to kind of segue into the expectation, right? So hyaluronic acid-based fillers, just like Radiesse, the non-hyaluronic acid-based fillers, your body will break them down and metabolize them. They say like a rule or a rule of thumb is, 1 syringe per decade, so if you're 60, and you need full correction, you're coming in and, you need your mid face done and your lower face, you should probably look somewhere along the lines of 6 syringes. And I know that sounds for some people like a lot, but, if I were to take one of these syringes, okay, let me show you. If I were to take one of these syringes here, okay, and I were to push this plunger all the way down to the bottom, it wouldn't even fill an entire tablespoon, okay? So that's how much product you're getting in one syringe. And this is a 1 ml syringe. Now, the thing about fillers is that, it is something that patients need to understand the cost. And, our fillers, they range in pricing. And a lot of patients are always curious, how much does a filler cost? How much is it going to cost me? Fillers require maintenance as well, but not as much as a neurotoxin like Botox or Jeuveau. Technically patients maybe are coming in once a year, or maybe they're coming in twice a year. Our patients here love the fact that we are full correction and that we really do spend time looking at the patient's anatomy, looking at their structure, really, figuring out what the true treatment plan will be for them. And, sometimes we do need to incorporate 2 to 3 fillers in their treatment to get them the desired result that we all together are looking for. So it can add up. And, just like any other office in the area, the pricing, ranges around $750 a syringe. It could be a little less. It could definitely be a little more. But the bottom line is that it's going to be something that is going to require some sort of maintenance. But also you want to make sure that you're getting enough, because there's nothing worse than getting one syringe because of budget reasons or because, you're afraid or whatnot. And those are obvious concerns. But then looking in the mirror and realizing that you really did need what the injector was telling you. So kind of got off on a little tangent there, but the bottom line is that the price varies because of the filler, okay? Depends on how many syringes of filler you need. And also, it's the type of patient. So let's talk about who's the best patient, who's the best candidate. I will tell you that one of my favorite things and areas to inject is, Restylane Lift or Voluma in the midface and in the cheek, right? And that is what we're doing in patients as young as their mid to late 20s and early 30s. Definitely by the time we get into our late 30s, early 40s and 50s and 60s, we are going to need these products. This is like, I say, like the workhorse. This is something that's really going to give you, and this too, really going to give you that lift, really going to, give you that ability to promote that volume, even with Radiesse, just a different patient age group. But my point is that, we have patients coming in as young as their 20s getting filler. Same thing, when we talk about the lips to me are like the finisher, the polisher, the cherry on top, the icing on the cake. It's something that when we talk about age group, it could be for any age group. So, we spoke about during this, just to kind of, tie this up and wrap this up, we spoke about who's the ideal patient, what these actually are. Okay, so majority of the fillers that I have here, the Restylane, the Versa, the Juvederms, they are hyaluronic acid-based fillers. And hyaluronic acid is naturally found in our skin cells, but is now in a gel formulation that when it's injected into the desired treatment area, it's going to promote volume. And we need that volume for support, for volume loss, for support in the areas that we feel like we're sagging or feel that we're kind of hanging. Okay, that's the desired reason why we use hyaluronic acid-based fillers. It's to plump the skin, it's to promote volume in the targeted area that we're treating. Then the second filler we had is Radiesse that we spoke about here. And the Radiesse is a collagen stimulator. It's different than the Voluma. It's different than the different than the Restylane rather. And Radiesse is not hyaluronic acid. In fact, it's something called calcium hydroxylapatite. And this particular filler stimulates the body's process to generate its own collagen, which is so important because as we get older, we know we lose not just volume, but we also lose that collagen. Okay. And then we spoke about the price. The price point can vary. It varies by area of where you live. It varies by location, where you are. Maybe in the state of Florida, it may be a little less or a little bit more depending on where you live. I can tell you that in New York, it's definitely a different price point than it is here. And it's a different price point out in California, so you have to understand the pricing does vary, and it will vary based upon, what we're trying to achieve. What is it that we're trying to, what are we trying to maximize at the end of the day with your treatment plan? Are we doing full correction? Do you need 3 syringes? Or are you, just starting out and maybe you're 20 years old or 25 years old and you just need 1 syringe? It really does depend. But in my opinion, there's nothing worse than not having, the total full correction. At the end of the day, looking in the mirror and saying, you know what, I should have done that 1 or 2 extra syringes. So pricing. Okay, so we spoke about price point. And we spoke about who's the ideal candidate, what it is. The longevity of the products, again, depends on the age of the patient. Are you metabolizing the filler quicker than somebody else? Is your body breaking it down quicker? Are you getting 1 syringe versus 4 syringes? Are you only getting 1 syringe in your cheeks instead of getting the 2 that were recommended? Ideally, the companies have their own, the fillers will last a year. The fillers will last 2 years. Restylane Kiss approved for up to 1 year. Again, that is if we want, what this company says versus, you guys, many of you have had fillers, but it really does depend on the type of product, how many syringes you're using, and the type of patient. So I want to leave you guys with something very, very special, okay? So until the end of this week, if you are watching this, it's July 7th. And until the end of the week, we are offering, buy 2 syringes of filler and get 1 for free. Okay, so let's say you want to get your cheeks, you come in here and we're going to do your cheeks. You can buy 2 syringes of Voluma and, get Restylane Kiss for free. Or maybe we're going to do 2 lifts and a Restylane Kiss. Or maybe we're doing, 2 Versa. And then you want to get, a Refine for free. Or maybe we're doing 2 Ultra Plus and a Radiesse for free. It's only until July 9th. So buy 2 syringes of filler, get the 3rd for free. Okay, so that's my little promotion for you guys. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you learned something, a little bit of the difference between the fillers. A lot of people always ask me, and I will say this again, how do you know which one to use? And it comes with, expertise, if you will, practice with injecting the products, training from the companies, learning about, the anatomy and the areas that need to be injected, the proper areas to where you're injecting, and which filler is appropriate for which area. And that really is determined by something called, and I'll just give you a little science, G prime. And G prime, not to get totally flooding you with information, but G prime, is it a thinner filler or is it a thicker filler? Is it for structure or is it in support, or is it really just something that's going to just kind of be something that's going to glaze over, or kind of just be like a little sheet or film, if you will, for mild support. So that's really how, and from a science perspective, how this works. But thank you guys so much for joining. I hope that this was helpful for you. Come and see me in the practice. Come and see us. We would love to, come up with a treatment plan that is specific for your needs. Even if you've had filler before, there's nothing wrong with coming in and getting to a feel for us and seeing, what a full face consultation would be like for you. All right? Take care, you guys. Bye-bye.